Please let me know. I'm very sorry that I took the chicken leg. It was a very good chicken leg. My niece ordered the buffet. I figured I would be okay to get it. Anyway, like I said, welcome to the Weekly Trivia Show. My name is Philip Trickey again. Crowdpurr is the #1 web platform for hosting trivia in the entire world. Every week we publish 10 new games. My writers are hard at work. I take my favorite questions from those 10 games, put them together in this best of, and bring it to you. And so I think that it's kind of like a buffet. And this buffet, it's not really going to be cursed, but it's going to be a fun trivia buffet. What do you say? Let's play. Week is coming from our Name That Album Covers game. Question 1. What is the title of the 1995 Tupac Shakur album released while Tupac was serving an 8-month prison sentence? Is it A, All Eyes on Me, B, Me Against the World, C, Tupacalypse Now, or D, Until the End of Time? A, All Eyes on Me, B, Me Against the World, C, Tupacalypse Now, or D, Until the End of Time? And the answer is B, Me Against the World. It's widely considered to be one of his best albums. I'm an All Eyes on Me fan, but you know, to each their own. Our second question this week coming to you is taken from our It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia game. It's a really fun game, and fans of the show should really like this one. Question 2. What does the S stand for in the Dennis system, Dennis's foolproof seduction technique? Is it A, shed persona, B, single out, C, separate entirely, or D, seek new woman? A, shed persona, B, single out, C, separate entirely, or D, seek new woman? And the answer is C, separate entirely. If you have watched that show, you are aware that Dennis is a bit of a sociopath. Moving on, question 3. The next couple questions are coming from a fun Coke versus Pepsi game. Question 3. One of Pepsi's strategies in the Cola Wars was allowing consumers to collect points from products, which could then be redeemed for merchandise known as Pepsi what? Is it A, gear, B, stuff, C, goods, or D, swag? A, gear, B, stuff, C, goods, or D, swag? I wasn't aware of this as I am a Coke drinker, but the answer is B, stuff, Pepsi stuff. It was really popular. I think you can still do it using Pepsi and Mountain Dew. Next question, still from Coke versus Pepsi. In 1998, Pepsi introduced their own Dr. Pepper style soda called what, in an effort to compete with Coke's Dr. Pepper style Mr. Pibb? Is it A, Dr. Peps, B, Dr. Blast, C, Dr. Dew, or D, Dr. Slice? A, Dr. Peps, B, Dr. Blast, C, Dr. Dew, or D, Dr. Slice? And the answer is D, Dr. Slice. Hopefully some of you remember the Slice line of sodas that Pepsi had. They made those until 2009. I was not aware that Slice was still available that late in the game. Moving on. Question 5 comes from our pizza game this week. Which pizza-themed anthem is featured on the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles studio album, Coming Out of Their Shells? Is it A, Pizza Time, B, No Veggies Allowed, C, Pizza Power, or D, Pepperoni on the Half Shell? A, Pizza Time, B, No Veggies Allowed, C, Pizza Power, or D, Pepperoni on the Half Shell? The Coming Out of Their Shells tour featured C, Pizza Power, which is also the theme music for the Turtles in Time arcade game, which I put a lot of quarters into in my youth. Next question looks like it's coming from our Pixar game. We have a couple of Pixar games. This is our second in the Pixar series that we published this week. Question number 6. Which Toy Story 3 character was supposed to appear in the first film, but the necessary animation technology did not exist at the time? Is it A, Big Baby, B, Stretch, C, Ken, or D, Lotso? A, Big Baby, B, Stretch, C, Ken, or D, Lotso? And the answer is Lotso, D, Lotso, the Lotso Huggin' Bear. Apparently the technology did not exist to animate his fur, so they had to wait for Toy Story 3. Lotso was voiced by the late, great Ned Beatty. Continuing from Pixar, question number 7. Which fictional tabletop role-playing game is Barley Lightfoot obsessed with in 2020's Onward? Is it A, Dungeons of Doom, B, Tales of Old, C, Quests of Yore, or D, Swords and Staffs? A, Dungeons of Doom, B, Tales of Old, C, Quests of Yore, or D, Swords and Staffs? The answer is C, Quests of Yore, which apparently you can buy and play in real life, for all my D&D fans out there. Next question, coming from our Name That Video Game quiz this week. Question number 8. Beloved Nintendo icon Mario makes his first appearance in 1981's Donkey Kong, where he was initially known as what? Is it A, Jumpman, B, the Plumber, C, Mr. Fix-It, or D, Dr. Mustache? A, Jumpman, B, the Plumber, C, Mr. Fix-It, or D, Dr. Mustache? The answer is A, Jumpman. So he was Jumpman before Jordan was Jumpman. But Mario got his name from the landlord who was in charge of the warehouse where Nintendo was making the game. He let them be late on their rent, and so they named Mario in honor of him. Continuing with another in our video game series, question number 9. Which moon of Mars is home to the portal to hell, opened by a teleporter malfunction in the original Doom series? Is it A, Callisto, B, Deimos, C, Io, or D, Phobos? A, Callisto, B, Deimos, C, Io, or D, Phobos? The answer is D, Phobos. Phobos and Deimos are the only two moons of Mars. Io, I think, is from Jupiter. And Callisto is a moon out there, somewhere in the universe. Beloved comedic filmmaker Ivan Reitman passed away a couple weeks ago, so we made a game in honor of him. So these next couple questions come from that Ivan Reitman game. Question number 10. What is the name of the superhero played by Uma Thurman in Ivan Reitman's 2006 comedy, My Super Ex-Girlfriend? Is it A, Professor Lightning, B, Captain Fabulous, C, G-Girl, or D, Dr. Shark? A, Professor Lightning, B, Captain Fabulous, C, G-Girl, or D, Dr. Shark? And the answer is C, G-Girl. Although G-Girl, it's never explained why she is called G-Girl in the movie. Continuing with Ivan Reitman films. Question number 11. Which of these Arnold Schwarzenegger comedies was not directed by Ivan Reitman? Is it A, Kindergarten Cop, B, Jingle All the Way, C, Twins, or D, Junior? A, Kindergarten Cop, B, Jingle All the Way, C, Twins, or D, Junior? And the answer is that beloved holiday classic, Jingle All the Way, was not directed by Ivan Reitman, but he did the other three. He and Arnold had a pretty good working relationship, it would seem. Next question comes from our Frozen Foods game this week. Coming up March 6th is National Frozen Foods Day. So we're putting this out in honor of that. Make sure you mark your calendars. Question number 12. Which line of popular low-calorie frozen meals was first introduced by Stouffer's in 1981? Was it A, Lean Cuisine, B, Healthy Choice, C, Daily Harvest, or D, Gardein? A, Lean Cuisine, B, Healthy Choice, C, Daily Harvest, or D, Gardein? And the answer, Stouffer's in 1981 released A, Lean Cuisine. They put delicious in every dish, they say. Continuing on with the frozen foods. Question number 13. What was the original name of Kellogg's Eggo waffles when first introduced in 1953? Was it A, Froffles, B, Griddles, C, Toaster Cakes, or D, Fripples? Got A, Froffles, B, Griddles, C, Toaster Cakes, or D, Fripples? And the answer is A, Froffles, which is a portmanteau of frozen and waffle. People started calling them Eggos on their own because they have that egg flavor. And then a couple years after they were introduced, they decided to change the name to Eggo. Moving on. This next question comes from our current events. We have a game that's all events that happened in the month of February 2022. Question 14. Which publication purchased Wordle, the popular online 5-letter word game, from creator Josh Wardle for an undisclosed sum in February of 2022? Is it A, the Los Angeles Times, B, the Washington Post, C, the New York Times, or D, Time Magazine? A, the Los Angeles Times, B, the Washington Post, C, the New York Times, or D, Time Magazine? I love this. I play it every morning. The answer is C, the New York Times. Purchased it from him for a low 6-figure sum, but they never said how much. Finally, our last question for this game comes from our Irish Celebrities game. As you should be aware, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, so we have a fun game of Irish celebrities for you to play this week. Question number 15. Notorious MMA fighter and former UFC champ Conor McGregor reportedly turned down the villain role in which James Bond film? Was it A, No Time to Die, B, Quantum of Solace, C, Skyfall, or D, Spectre? A, No Time to Die, B, Quantum of Solace, C, Skyfall, or D, Spectre? And the answer is D, Spectre, which I have not seen. So I'm not sure who the villain is. I know that Javier Bardem is the villain in Skyfall, and he is tremendous. All right, so that's my 15 questions, but like as always, it's time for a bonus question. This week is coming from our deep catalog of games at Crowdpurr. So I pulled a question out of This Is Spinal Tap, which is one of my favorite movies. Bonus question this week. Which fictional album is Spinal Tap promoting on their US tour during This Is Spinal Tap? Is it A, Smell the Glove, B, Intravenous de Milo, C, Shark Sandwich, or D, Bent for the Rent? You've got A, Smell the Glove, B, Intravenous de Milo, C, Shark Sandwich, or D, Bent for the Rent? And the answer is A, Smell the Glove, which had a very controversial album cover and was accused of being sexist. And when that happened, the lead guitarist said, "What's wrong with being sexy?" And I tell you, nothing. So that's our game this week. Thank you so much for listening. I want to throw out a special thanks to my producer, Ross Newton. As always, once again, please check us out at crowdpurr.com if you want to play along. And remember to like and subscribe. Tune in next week where we're going to have a whole new game of all new questions, 100% original. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.